has been donated by poor and the countrymen of 100 rupees or 500 rupees or 1000 rupee denomination,
Okay.
and using that 90 crore rupees, and then Congress has waived off that money also to young India. Well, it was not personal
Aishwarya, a
money of
couple
some
of questions
individual.
stand out. Number one, what is the relationship of the Congress party to .ex India? Why was .ex India paying that money, the 50 lakh rupees, with which Young India acquired the debts of AJL? And most importantly, how can a company which was sitting on property worth thousands of crores, in order to repay a 90 crore debt to the Congress party, got bought for merely 50 lakh rupees? You have to unmute, please.
Zaka, I will answer each and everything that Mr. RP Singh has spoken about. DotX was a company from which we took a loan at the rate of 14% interest. The payment was made by a check. The money came in because Mr. Goenka, who was a close aide of the Congress party, also ran DotX, from whom the money was taken, and the money and the debt was cleared. First. Second thing is, when you talk about the crores and crores of property that AJL had and whatnot, please look at the transactions. Also look at how much property or real estate we owned. Everything was on lease because they could not own anything in perpetuity. Second thing is, when you talk about how could a company with so much asset have to be merely bought over for so much, is because there were 90 plus crores in debt. Why? Because not only VRS of several employees, there was lots of pendings, dues, and whatnot. A majority chunk of the money went out to pay that, and the remaining actually went to the government themselves, in
Okay.
terms of cesses and dues that were remaining. Zaka, the simple issue is this. They act like Mrs. Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi ji have taken money. Absolutely not. Young Indian is a not-for-profit Section 25 company. They are prohibited from one taking money, owning assets, or even having any of this. We gave them the money and turned it into equity for AJL so that we could waive away the money that they had to pay off other people.
Okay.
And let's make
Many
this
would
very clear.
question this
Zaka, one
practice of
last intent.
debt being converted into equity, but I want to
Can
go
I
to
make a
Nalin
very
Mehta
small
and to
answer?
Hemant Atri as well. One second, please. Nalin Mehta,
A
I think
very
the
small
larger
answer.
point,
Jaka,
once
very
again, the
small.
larger point is corruption today in 2022 as potent an issue as it was, let's say, in 2012? This is a case that dates back 10 years. This whole tag of UPA2 and the corruption that was associated with UPA2, have people forgotten that, or is this the attempt of the BJP to try and revive the ghosts, or those memories, if you will?
So I think, Zaka, at the time when this case was filed in 2012, you're right. That's the time when allegations of corruption were at an all-time high. It was the downfall of UPA 2. Right now, I think this case is as much about the legality as it is about the optics. And the optics is what? It is that a paper which was started by Jawaharlal Nehru, which was intrinsically linked with the legacy of the Congress party, was fundamentally transferred from one entity to another, to an entity which is controlled 76% by
Yeah.
Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi. So I think the political optics of this are even more, are far more interesting, and have bigger ramifications. Legally, I think I heard what Aishwarya was saying, and it reminded me a little bit about the kind of and again, we have to wait and see what evidence there is in the courts and so on. But it reminded me a little bit about the zero loss argument that Kapil Sibal had made in 2012 in a different context. Is the kind of argument that P. Chidambaram has also made now about that for money laundering, there has to be money and there has to be laundering. Yes, money is not transferred, but fundamentally is the optics of a company which has got large assets, which had a loan of about 68 crores or something, which went up to about 90 crores, which
Yeah.
was then transferred to another entity, which is controlled fundamentally by two family members. That intrinsic link between the Congress being a family firm or not, I think that is what is at play over here. Politically, Rahul Gandhi is at an all-time low.
Mm-hmm.
If he ends up going to jail in this case, and that's an if. I mean, I'm not making any judgment on the case. If he does, how much it may even end up reviving his political career. But right now, I think politically the optics is about this linkage between family and the party, which this transaction seems to have underscored even more, even outside the legality of the kind of transactions that often happen between firms.
Hemant Atri, again, it comes back to two or three fundamental questions. As far as I understand, as per the Representation of People's Act, a political party cannot lend money. Here you have a non-profit company or a Section 25 company, which is not supposed to make profits, buying a company which has assets worth maybe hundreds of crores, real estate worth hundreds of crores, buying that company for a mere 50 lakhs, and that too money that was given by another company, .x India. The whole optics around it and the fact that in young India, three-fourths of the company is controlled by two individual members, the optics that the Congress party, and this is a charge that the Congress party has been facing since 2014 of being a family-run fief, that just gets exemplified in a case like AJL and Young India. How does the Congress party counter that?
See, Zaka, in this particular case, I have discussed it earlier also on your show with you only. There are 2-3 basic principles. This is a case pertaining from 2012 till now. And how many times Honorable Supreme Court has said that all those corruption cases against all politicians and elected representatives, they have directed the trial courts as well as the high courts to bring them to some conclusion within 1 year. And that thing has passed away for last about 5 years and no development in that, despite clear-cut directions from the Honorable Supreme Court. That is point number one. Number two, what has come up right now? Why the ED is doing it right now? Again, that is a question of timing. See, from 2015 till 2022, see, there are two types of cases, Zaka. One is a case like hardcore criminal case, like some murder, dacoity or something, right? This is a white-collar crime. This is an economic offense kind of thing, if at all it is, right? So these kind of cases, ED and CBI, they are master in, investigation of this. Why did in the first place, the ED took 8 years to come to this, number one. Number two, if at all they have got certain new things, have they filed any charge sheet to any court? This is basically a spectacle from both sides. As you were rightly pointing out, it is not only a spectacle from Congress, it is from the other side also. And see, as far as the spectacles are concerned, they have become the order of the day. If you recollect, what happened with Aam Aadmi Party, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal said something, I will not get into the details, about some film. And what BJP did, he had said something about a film produced by somebody, directed by somebody. What business BJP had that they started, demonstrating before his house.
Okay.
So this is order of that day. The thing is, 2-3 things are very clear in this case, Jaka, and we earlier also you and me discussed. First, to launder any money, you have to have money. In this case, a debt running company into 90 crores gives 67 crores worth of rupees for the employees that, incidentally in this case, are journalists. Their salary debts, number one, which was outstanding salary, their provident funds, their VRS settlements, and 23 crores to the union government and the state government for various pending dues.
Okay.
Right? But I'm again saying, if there is something which is illegal, why did ED took so many years, 7 years?
Okay, you've made that point. The question of why the ED took so long for 7 years, what was the ED doing is a valid one. But I want to come back to another fundamental point that you raised, and RP Singh, please respond. Congress party lawyers like Mr. Chidambaram, Mr.